Hi, thank you for taking the time to tune in and watch this video. I'm Bruce Theobald. I've been on the board of directors of Americana Towers for the last 4 years, and I would like to serve another 2-year term. The last time I was up for re-election, I was actually the number one vote getter in the building. Now, you may ask yourself, how does some guy who doesn't even live in the building, how does he wind up being the number one vote getter? Well, I believe it's because if there's three good reasons why, let me push that out of the way. Reason number one, I'm an attorney and I have extensive knowledge of condominium law. Reason number two is I'm a landlord and I have considerable knowledge of the local real estate market. Number three is I'm a small business owner, a real estate brokerage firm to be specific. Push that out of the way again. A real estate brokerage firm to be specific. So I have decades of experience of managing income and expenses. According to the supplemental statement contained or attached to the 2022 budget for Americana Towers, the building needs over $10 million in repairs. Let me repeat that again, $10 million. Now, those numbers were no doubt based on a reserve study that was done in 2019. Unfortunately, with inflation, those prices have now no doubt gone up from there. How much? We don't know as of right now. Today is Thursday, March 2nd. The board is going to have a special meeting on Tuesday, March 7th. No doubt to consider the latest information, which would be the updated bids we have received from the contractors. But I haven't seen that yet, so I can't comment. All I can go by is what is in the official record. Now, the $10 million is going to be a bit of a stretch. We have slightly less than $3 million in cash reserves. Fortunately, we do have a $6 million line of credit, but 3 and 6 is 9. That still doesn't give us to 10, and that's assuming that there's been no increase in the cost of work. We do have some options like getting an increase in our line of credit, and also spreading out the repairs over time to allow the reserves to continue to build. Hopefully, that will be sufficient so that we can avoid a special assessment, which none of us want to see. Some will try to tell you that there's nothing to worry about because we can borrow the money to do the work. Hopefully that is true, but here's the problem. The money needs to be paid back. And where's that money going to come from? Yep, your assessment dollars. So regular assessments will have to rise, in order to make the payments on the loan, which is why it's so critical that the building have a fiscal conservative like me on the board to carefully watch every dollar as if it was my own. So that's what we're looking at going forward. I've got a number of accomplishments over the last 4 years that I'm proud of, but to try to keep this video short, I'm only going to highlight one of them, and that is this, the reserve study. Prior to my coming on the board, the building had not had a reserve study in 20 years. Or I should say, when I came on the board, I asked the management office for a copy of the reserve study. They said, we don't have one. I said, how can that possibly be? Every other building up and down Clark Street has one. How can you not? They said, well, we do, but we really, we got it. It's 20 years old, Well, that's completely unacceptable. I said, and that is one of the reasons that we now find ourselves in need of so much deferred maintenance and don't have the money to pay for it. Most all large buildings get their reserve studies updated every 3 to 5 years. Reserve studies are critical because you cannot properly set your budget without one. Because what a reserve study does is it's a study by architects and engineers. They look at the major components of the building, like heating, plumbing, cooling, electrical, roof, concrete, and so forth. And from that, they're able to determine two things. Number one, what is the estimated remaining useful life of all the major components? Number two, what will it cost to replace that component when it needs replacing? And unless you have that information, there's virtually no way you can set a budget for the building, which is why we find ourselves in the situation that we were in. Had we got a reserve study 10, 15 years ago, we could have begun to start building our reserves to pay for these costs so that we would now not find ourselves in the dilemma that we are currently in. Now, the last reserve, at my prompting, the board did get a reserve study, and that was in 2019. And that was 4 years ago. We are now in need of an update, and I sincerely hope that the building will consider getting one. Finally, let me say a few words on a topic everybody wants to hear me talk about, and that is deconversion. What about deconversion? Generally, I'm against it, okay? I like Americana Towers. I like the units that I have there, okay? And I don't particularly want to get rid of them. However, I was also a unit owner at the Kennelly Square building up the street at 1749 North Wells, a building which did eventually deconvert. Why? They were facing repair costs that were just so, nobody at Kennelly wanted to see that building deconvert either. However, when they found out what the repair costs were going to be, some unit owners were simply overwhelmed. Some said, I simply can't afford it, okay? Some said, I can afford it, but I don't want to spend that money on what I see is a sinking ship. So, do I want to see Americana Towers deconverted? No, but I also feel that it cannot be categorically ruled out as an option. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you will vote for me. We do have cumulative voting in Americana. You get 5 votes. You could vote 1 vote for each of 5 different candidates, or you could, for example, vote 3 votes for one candidate, 2 votes for another, or you can do me a huge favor and cast all 5 of your votes for me, which I will hope you will do. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this video.